Hello everybody, my name's Ryan and I'm a driving instructor, and today, progression. So, progression, what am I actually talking about? Well, progression is about the change in cars and technology. Before I go any further though, subscribe to the channel so you can see loads of great content like this. Like and yeah, if you want to become a member, become a member. So progression, what is it? Well, it's about a conversation that I had with some instructors and an examiner. Now the examiner said it wasn't anything to do with him. The DVSA officially are not getting involved. The examiner felt that it wasn't for him to say, and it was totally kind of a conversation that was what is going to happen. It isn't really necessarily about test times and waiting times. This is about a car's progression, a evolution of a car. What a great word, evolution. Can we say that again? That's great. The evolution of a car. Back in the 1980s, the most that cars probably had at any given moment, if you were really lucky on some cars, was a little bit of ABS, anti-lock braking system. Before that, you had to do what you do on your theory test, which is potentially in a very hazardous situation. In a very hazardous situation with water pouring all over the place, you kind of had to sort of not quite pump the brakes so the brakes didn't lock up. When you used to learn to drive back then, it was a totally different thing about how the control of the car was totally different to what it is today. If we skip on and we think about things that have been added to the car, power steering, somewhat simple. Before power steering, you couldn't physically turn the wheel if you were stopped. Unbelievably, you can dry steer now because the steering wheel is connected to a motor, which is connected to a pump, which moves the steering racks. Most modern cars are electric and not hydraulic anymore. But essentially, what you've got is another level of control that the car is doing. So you're adding more control to the car. ABS, power steering. Before that, you used to have keep fit windows. Windy windows. Probably remember them as a kid. If you're a kid and you're watching this, ask your mum. Keep fit windows. In fact, this car doesn't even have keep fit windows in the back. And this is from 2017. And this is 7-year-old. So, yeah. In fact, I don't think of any car that I've had in the last 10 years has had keep fit windows anywhere on it. The last car I had that had keep fit windows was probably from the early noughties. We had technology on parking sensors. Can we use parking sensors on a driving test? I can't physically switch them off. So the DVSA came up with a plan of saying anything that's fitted to the car you can use during your driving test. And this is what I'm going to come on to. So then they had the rear camera. This car's fitted with a rear camera, makes it a little bit easier to park, follow the line, yep, look in all directions, simple, pimple. So we've got parking sensors and speed sensors and cruise control. Add cruise control in, makes it easier, makes you so you don't exceed a certain speed. Speed limiter, so you don't exceed a certain speed, a manual speed limiter. Stop-start technology, that's been added. And cars are getting increasingly more complicated, and I said this in another video. But what I'm going to say is a little bit profound. A car's getting far too progressive. We already know from this month, July 2024, you can only permanently disable the safety systems once. As soon as you get out, you lock the car, you walk away, you come back, you open the car. The safety systems are re-enabled. Got buttons. You can disable things like traction control. But are we actually really switching off traction control? There's some cars that you have a button where you can switch it off, but you're not really actually switching it off. You're just making it so that the wheels don't spin completely. So you're making it so that they don't spin as much as, or maybe even a little bit more than, so that traction control truly doesn't come off on some cars. Part of the safety systems. So this is what the other instructors and the examiner was referring to. This is the bit that I'm coming on to. From this month, we have to potentially manually disable all the safety systems. That means that you can use anything that's fitted to a car on your driving test. So let's take the latest car, any car. It's got lane assist, it's got auto stop. If it's automatic, then it'll change gear itself. If you're using one pedal operation and it's braking for you, then are you really stopping for that instant? Are you stopping for a hazard? Are you stopping for that roundabout? Because the car knows where it is. It knows because it's got a very live map from Apple or Waze or Google. It's got that latest technology in it. So if we send you out on a driving test in this month in a brand new car, who is really doing the driving anymore? We can't permanently disable it. Might that be a requirement for a driving test, that as soon as you get in that car you have to disable all the safeties? You have to take off lane assist, you have to take off auto braking, you have to take off advanced cruise control, you have to take off autopilot, you have to take off all-round camera views. At what point does the driving test change to where you drive, well, you pilot the car for half of the test because the car is literally driving itself? You stop, you disabled all the safeties, then you drive it manually anyway. You're always going to have a driving license to sit in a self-driving or auto-piloted car, but if you're driving effectively a self-aware car right now, are you actually really driving it? What happens when you go on a driving test? You don't speed, there's no harsh braking, you're not going to run red lights because the car will stop you, you're not going to run across a roundabout, you're not going to exceed the speed limit, you're not going... I probably said things twice. It is literally going to keep you on the road, 1 metre off the curb, normal driving position, everywhere. And I know that sounds quite scary, that potentially right now there are cars on the road that are doing that. But I'm starting to see also a problem with the driving test in the future. And will that driving test change? And I thought this when I made my Will the Driving Test video change, and I never even considered that actually the safeties might be the problem after all. The safety system inside the car might actually prevent you from driving the car safely and appropriate, because it'll just override what you're doing. It won't suddenly steer into a verge, it won't suddenly speed up because it won't let you. Now, as an aside to this is kind of what the examiner was saying. He says that something's going to change. It's got to change because potentially we could have, in 5 years' time, lots of these people turning up with these 3, 4, 5-year-old cars that have got all these safety gears and autopilots on it, and pretty much that they're doing the driving test for them, especially if they've already learnt all the routes. It's already programmed into the car knows exactly where it's going, and yeah, there you go. Somebody passed a driving test without actually kind of driving the car. Big deep breath there. What's your opinion? What do you feel about it? Do you think it needs to change? It obviously does now. I came across a car, a Tesla 24 Edge, driving down the road, and I've got sort of 60 on my dial, something like that, dual carriageway, quite nice and safe. And this Tesla was doing about 40. And there was a comment a bit ago from somebody who said, oh yeah, my car didn't recognise the speed limit signs. I could see this Tesla owner getting really frustrated as I overtook him. Big car, stickers on, box on the roof, telling him I'm a learner driver. I was driving the car, not my learner. And as I went past him, you could see he was angry with his car, because obviously it hasn't picked up that it's now 70. It's a national speed limit road, and the last sign it saw was a 40. It was on along the 192 at East Hartford. It saw the 40 sign, so it kept the car at 40. It's gone at the next section, hasn't recognised that there's a change in speed, and it's doing exactly that. That's the only thing I could think of, because he was kind of like, he was just looking around as if to say, what do I press? How do I disable? Is the disabled systems, is the stuff inside here so far buried in the menus that you can't actually disable when you're on the move? And then if you're touching the screen, what's the difference between touching the screen and touching your phone? Wherever my phone's gone. Oh, you're watching it. And if you're touching the screen, what's the difference between touching the screen and... I'm filming on my phone, so I can't use my phone, but what's the difference? If I've got to go through 10 menus to disable all of this. Interesting. This video, I do have a list of stuff that I've been reading under the camera. There has been a list of sort of topics that I've followed all the way through. It's fairly unscripted. I kind of just say what I mean. Kind of argued against battery, because it's very difficult for me as a person to charge it every single day for potentially 40 kilowatt hours, doing 250, 270 miles in one day. I did a couple of days last week. I don't quite know how I could run with an EV, but then if I buy one of these brand new ones, 24 edge, 45 grand, and it does a driving test for me, why shouldn't I buy one? Does that mean that everybody passes and therefore my pass rate suddenly becomes 100% because I can't speed? I can't drive over the pavement. I can't then run somebody over. It will anticipate my hazards. It's very interesting, isn't it? If you like what you saw today, maybe you didn't, that's all right. It's okay to disagree with me. It's all right to say, yeah, I disagree with you. I don't think this is going to happen. It kind of already has. And this is what the examiner was saying, that they had a pupil out, literally the car drove itself. They had to pass them. They couldn't do anything with it because the car did the work. What point do we then say we have to do something new? Like, comment, subscribe, feel free. Quite a long video, I think. I'm not so sure how long this is recorded for. I know we had a little break in the middle. Had to edit a lady out, so because she was sort of walking up the side of the car. You've probably seen the blue car appear on the side because I edited it out. Enjoy your day, weekend, etc, etc. Video on 10 Fails in Blythe coming soon. Probably Sunday. Sneaky one. While the match is on, maybe. No, I'm not. I won't be that horrible. England. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy your day whenever you're watching this, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye. What that basically means is you can switch them off once. I'll wait for this lady. I'll have a drink. Have a drink with me. I'm just not getting out of the car. She sort of just sat there. Maybe all my channel members can wave to her. All two of you. This is definitely going in the bonus footage at the end. Bugger off, I'm trying to film a YouTube video here. Curry and hurry up. Just having a sip of water now. Well, you can see it because I can't. I can't really look over my shoulder. It's like looking back in church. Oh, there goes the door. And off she goes. Right. Back to normal. So what we're referring to is a car's getting more complicated. Yes. Is all the safety gear inside the car good? Yes. The new cars then. July 2024, new cars.